Hello, I'm Mary Gallagher. I'm a Divine Plan healer, and I'm also a teacher of this healing system called Divine Plan Healing. And I just wanted to talk about what's involved if you want to learn how to train as a Divine Plan healer and what's involved. So it has no religious context whatsoever. It is a very different healing system because you're actually learning to connect with and use very powerful spiritual healing light. And you're learning in two ways. You're learning mainly by the experience of what it is to be connected, to allow a spiritual light to flow through you. And you're also learning with the instruction and the information that you're given. So it's experience, and it's also the instruction that you're given. It's a method that actually allows you to work with spiritual healing light. And the light is called the Emerald Heart Light. So you are attuned, you need to be attuned, which means you are connected directly to this flow of light so it can flow through you. It's a bit like you plug in or you're plugged in and the light flows. And I know that in general, people talk about sending light and calling in the light, but it can all be very, very vague and nobody's quite sure what's happening. With this, you're very clear on what's happening because it's a very definite connection and the light is requested to flow at a particular time. And it's a connection that works, which is why this healing system works. So in a sense, you turn on the tap and the flow of light is there. There's no vagueness, and it gives you the ability to actually do a healing session. Now, I know that other therapies have attunements as well, but in this one, we are not responsible for directing the energy. We're not clearing energy or directing it. What we are is neutral channels, and the light can flow through us. And you have to remember at all times, it's very powerful. It's coming from a fifth dimensional place, which is pure consciousness, and it has much more ability than we do. So when I say power, I mean ability. And its consciousness is coming from source, from creation. It has that ability to reach down and to clear a lot of issues and to withdraw them from our energy field. So it's coming from a place of absolute purity, which is why it can work on the level that it can. And when you're taught, you get a very clear, simple method of what to do. And if you follow it exactly, then that's all that's needed. So it means working with spiritual light is possible. And the vagueness has gone out of it, and you know exactly what to do. And you're given a very practical method. It's a grounded way to do self-healing or to work with family and friends, or indeed to work with clients in a practice. And it works on a very, very deep level of consciousness. So because it is higher consciousness coming down to meet the lower consciousness that we're bringing up, what you get is this ability to basically uncover what's inside, what's within us, all our fears, all of the issues we might have, traumas we might have from a physical issue, a life issue, anything like that. It just uncovers it, starts to break it down, withdraws it from the system over time, and it's always from a higher level. So it's very, very effective for healing. So when you're training, you have to remember this light is stronger, not because it's dominant, because it has the ability, the potential to do an awful lot more than we could do in, say, another therapy where you're simply sensing on your own human level. It's coming from that different level. You are in this light, you're in this potential. And once you're attuned and connected, that's what's happening. It also has the Mary Magdalene vibration, which is love and wisdom. It is a feminine intuitive vibration that's present in the healing as well. And there's something else that you sense as guidance comes through. And when you're training, you're learning a healing method, you're connected to the light, but your own spiritual evolution increases quite a bit because you become empowered. You start to raise your own vibration, and it's an ongoing thing that happens. So if I can just show you in a screen share some of what can happen. So this is a different learning process. You learn by experience what it means to work with powerful fifth dimensional spiritual light, combined with clear instructions and information. And to do this, you're given a very easy to learn, clear steps about giving a healing session, as well as all the history and the background that you need. You're given a level 1 attunement, which is a connection to the Emerald Heart Light. And that allows the light to flow, and it allows you to actually work with it. It also has the Mary Magdalene vibration of love and wisdom, this feminine intuitive vibration that's present in the healing. It's not a hands-on therapy. You don't have to touch the client, and you don't have to remember any complicated hand movements. You don't need any experience to do this. It's not connected to any sort of religious belief. Generally, you have a one-day in-person training, or if you want to do it online, it can be split over 2 or 3 sessions. And online training is just as effective. Now, I do like to meet people for the first training. I like to make that connection, and I think it's really helpful just to meet people and to see exactly what you're doing. But saying that, given the times that are in it, we can't always do that. Hopefully, we can. I've been able to do that. And it also means that you make a connection, but online training works just as well. I did all my training online, and it works. You go into, after your one-day training, you go into a 3-month development period. And in that time, you do a number of set practice healings, just so you can experience what this light is, because it's very, very powerful, and that you can get used to it. You get a manual, which is over 50 pages with all the information. There are 3 essences, spiritual light essences that you take. You also need to have 3 mentor sessions during this period. It's a way just to check in with you and to see what's happening in your progress and your development. And when you're finished, you receive a certificate as a Divine Plan healer, which means you can work with individual clients on a one-to-one basis. One important thing is that this is a standalone therapy. You don't mix it with any other therapy. In fact, it's not possible to do it. Because you are connected to the light, it flows through you. It does what's needed. Why would you be bringing in anything else? And if you try to do that, it just stops the flow and confuses things. And if you want to speak to me on my website, which I'll show you the link in a moment, I have a free information call button. And if you want to speak to me, it clears up a lot of those questions that come up when you're considering something like this. So just to give you a little bit of extra information again on, where am I? Here we are. When you've done your training, there are different potentials for you in terms of your personal development, because it's ongoing. Some people decide they're not quite sure of it, that they're getting used to it, not quite comfortable. They do their one-day level 1 training. You get your attunement, you get all of the information, everything that you need. You learn how to do self-healing techniques for yourself and for family and friends. They decide they won't complete the 3-month development period. They don't do all of that. They just work for themselves. They do not charge any money for any healings that they do. And it means that they have a healing ability for themselves and their family. And some people decide just to stay at that level for good or for a while. But what can happen is, after a while, you'll notice people are asking you to do healings on them. And that's like a message from the universe. You should be going a little bit further. You actually should be thinking about making this more of a professional activity, because people need to respect what you're doing, and there's an exchange. So for most people, they decide to become a professional Divine Plan healer with a certificate. You do your full one-day training for level 1. You receive your attunement, your manual, the essences. You complete your 3-month development period. You complete your 3 mentor sessions with me as your teacher. And then you receive a certificate which allows you to work with clients in person, one-to-one. And you charge appropriately for this exchange, for this therapy. After some time, people often want to continue. And you can go to level 2, which is the advanced Divine Plan healing. And in this, you learn advanced techniques, distant healing, group healing, and event healing. And you're able to do this because you get 2 attunements, much deeper attunements, and your ability to flow the light then is much stronger. Again, after a period of time, some people might think they'd like to teach Divine Plan healing. It takes time to grow into this, because it really is the experience of it. And that's an option further down the line. And for some people, they do the training and they find that that's all they need. They've done the training. They may not actually continue as a professional healer. They have that ability, but they find more and more they're going their own direction because it's opened up something in you that you can find your own divine plan, as we call it. The divine plan is the higher plan of what your highest potential is. And that opens up. And a lot of people find something comes up, something that was in them to get into your full potential. And this is what it's about. Every client, every student who trains is opening up to their full potential. And this is why it's constantly expanding you. It expands your consciousness. It challenges you all the time, but it's an ongoing growth process you're going into. And it gives you a totally different perspective on life, that spiritual perspective. You also begin to connect with other people, therapists in Divine Plan, and just people in general in that community. In other words, people that you resonate with. And when you do that, it's starting to lift you as well. So more and more, you're finding life is easier for you, that the way you view things and the way you do things is easier. So it gives you an awful lot of personal growth and development. So if you're thinking of training, it's not just how you would do this with clients, it is also how it works with you, because light flows through you first to get to the client. You receive the healing as well as the healing that goes to the client or to another person. So in that sense, it's quite a different way of working and a very different therapy. So my website is marygallaghertherapy.ie. I also have a Facebook page, Mary Gallagher Healing Therapy. I think my face is on it. It's quite amazing the amount of change that happens in your life. And I would really recommend that you look at my website because I have a bit more information there. I tend to rewrite my website a lot because as I change and my impressions change, I put in new content and information. Sometimes saying it slightly differently is all it takes for you to understand it slightly differently. And that's where I'm at as well. So hopefully, if you want to contact me, you'll be able to find the button on the website you're on now, or as I said, marygallaghertherapy.ie. So hopefully you will consider looking at this and developing your own ability spiritually and as a therapist. Thank you very much for listening.